All right. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for letting me take some time from you, Mr. Derrick Thompson. I'm Annette Atoigui, and just interviewing for In the Know 360. So, the first question I have, well, first of all, let's go ahead and do introductions. Why don't
Sure.
we start with that?
Let's do that.
Okay, I'll let you go first.
All right. Okay. I am Derrick Thompson, founder, just kind of a serial founder, you can say. So I have a few initiatives, the main being TNT Creative Group, which is a custom digital media agency. Also have a nonprofit called Twins and Technology, and am starting a sports show with my son, my 12-year-old son Diego, where I beat him down on a weekly basis on picking the right games and talking sports. So those are some of the endeavors that I have going on.
Okay. Well, I'm Annetta Toigui, and I've known Derrick Thompson, aka D Dog. That's his call name.
Uh-oh, I'm bad.
For those that don't know, we've known each other for oh my gosh, for so long. Been over 2 decades.
Yes.
I feel like we grew up together or something. So let me give you a little background of how we met. He's shaking his head. Uh-oh. Oh, as you can hear, I'm actually in a car dealership because my vehicle decided to do some jerky motions, and so hopefully they don't give me a big bill. Nonetheless, I met Derrick, aka D Dog, at Wake Tech Community College in North Carolina.
Yes.
And so the first day, it was during our biology class, and I needed a partner to dissect a frog. And I wasn't going near that frog. So I was like, oh, this is a good candidate to help me with this project. And so I went over and kind of mingled. I said, hey, how you doing? Do you have a partner? And, the, and that's how we started. That's how we got to know each other. I said, I don't mind taking the lab notes and you can go ahead and dissect the frog. So that's how we met.
I started. I don't start.
Right. That's how we started. Let's see. I don't want to give you the long drawn of who I am. I'll start with the the current thing of what I do. So basically, I'm a health service officer. I'm with the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps. And right now, we're just mitigating this COVID-19. And I'm with I don't want to. I'm with an agency detailed for the federal government. So I will leave it at that. But for In the Know 360, I just started this podcast. And so decided to interview different entrepreneurs. And of course, I can't forget my BFF, longtime friend, Derrick. So,
Oh,
with that being said, I'll go ahead and start with the questions. Okay.
let's get into
No,
it. Uh,
number one, what inspired you to start your company?
Inspired me to start my company. Well, I guess I've always had it in me. I would have to go back to my parents. Um, they inspired me by introducing me to different parts of life. A lot of it was indirectly, just from the fact that they both worked in corporate America. They worked in a corporate environment where they had office jobs and worked on computers and all that. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So every now and then I got to go and kind of tag along and hang around with them. They both worked at this like huge campus. It was AT&T Bell Laboratories in Illinois, and just buildings everywhere, big athletic fields, and it was just like an amazing campus. So I always thought that was the coolest thing. But for whatever reason, in my mind, I wanted to be in that
Mm-hmm.
environment, but I wanted to own it.
Right.
So just being around that, growing up, inspired me to try to do whatever I could to be able to run something like that one day. So I would have to say the inspiration came from my parents. So we're very blessed for that.
Yes. Yes, you are. And they raised a good kid. Well, now you're an adult, so
Yes.
still have a
Oh,
kid
man.
in you, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All righty. How did you come up with the name TNT Creative Group?
TNT Creative Group. So you have had many businesses, started in high school, and was always trying to be an entrepreneur. But TNT Creative Group is what really took off, and it actually comes from my name, my last name Thompson, and
Mm-hmm.
my wife's maiden name Tobias. So we both came up with the concept of the company, and it's coined after that. So Thompson and Tobias Creative Group, call it TNT Creative Group, is where that name came from. The name TNT is also special to me because my dad coming up had a business on the side with
Mm-hmm.
another guy whose last name was Tucker. And they had a company called, it was TNT something else, right?
Uh-huh.
But I remember they were like a recruiting firm where they placed people in different IT roles. And
Okay.
I remember coming up, they made a few big placements, and that allowed
Mm-hmm.
us to, get the house that we ended up living in. And I remember it
Mm-hmm.
was a big deal when the company did well. So I always
Okay.
had an affinity for TNT.
Okay. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
I know everybody has a story with their company name.
yeah, yeah. That's mine.
So can you tell us about well, I guess you told us about the history of TNT. And what are your current challenges with your company?
Yeah, always a challenge. I'd, I'd say managing the bottlenecks. So there's always a bottleneck somewhere,
Oh, yeah.
and what a lot of entrepreneurs have to figure out. It's great if you can figure this out when you
Mm-hmm.
start. Are you going to be a one person operation where you're basically an independent contractor and you're doing everything?
Right.
That's fine. Or are you going to grow and become the type of company where it's more than just yourself and you're managing people and managing, projects? I mean, which one are you
Right.
going to be? And
Right.
sometimes some people don't know when they start, so that's a big pitfall. But
Right.
I always knew that I wanted to grow it beyond myself. So the bottleneck, the biggest challenge will a lot of times be with me, having too
Yeah.
much on my plate in a certain area and being able to bring people on that can
Uh-huh.
do certain things. But that's the fine line. It's easy to say, oh, well, just bring help. That's true, but you need money to do that, right?
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
having the time and the expertise to bring people on, but then
Right.
also have the funds to do that. So just navigating those challenges of being able to know when is the right time to bring people on,
Mm-hmm.
bringing on the right people, because if you bring on the wrong people, that can
Right.
end your company quicker than anything. So yeah, it's a constant moving target. But time management, money management, all those types of things are definitely
Right.
the biggest challenge.
Right. So, yeah, birds of a feather flock together, like that famous quote, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
I was wondering what your challenges have been that you faced as a black man when you started the entrepreneurial journey.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's interesting. I would say I had a lot of challenges actually in corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those challenges in corporate America, I would say, fueled my passion to continue to want to have my own business.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of there's challenges that exist, from being black, no doubt, and there are challenges from being an entrepreneur. But
Right.
I actually feel that there are more
Mm-hmm.
challenges actually working within a company in a structure with other
Mm-hmm.
people, right? So I actually have less challenges now than I did then. There's the respect level is different when you come in as the founder of the company. and you
Right.
have a track record. And there's just a different persona. Whereas I felt like in corporate America, there were many, many other factors that
Right.
could be roadblocks and be challenges. And I had more things that I
Yeah.
had to look out for and worry about.
Right.
So, but definitely challenges. I mean, you have to, um, you know, definitely look successful. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas maybe some other people can, they might be more forgiving and be understanding if they're just starting out and don't have certain things established. But I feel like, being a minority owned business, you certainly have to have everything together, probably more than maybe some others do. So that's why I, invested in an office that looked
Hmm.
pristine, and invested in an office that had a great location and a great view like this.
Right.
Just those types of things, to do everything possible to try to um, make people as comfortable as possible doing
Right.
doing business.
Yeah. Um, I was wondering if you could give an example. Like, for instance, hypothetically, you're walking around your office building. Oh, I guess you can tell I'm close to the airport
Oh,
as well.
no worries.
You're walking across the hallway in your building, and someone came in, either a client or what have you. And I'm sure that you've ran across this example,
Mm.
and you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I think I know where you're
So
going.
basically, oh, hey, Joe Blue, where's your manager, or who can I talk to about this project that I have that I want to do?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've never really had a comment, but I can say I've had looks. So one of the cool things about owning the company, and then also having those days to where I don't have to maybe do as much interfacing, where it
Oh,
might just be a work day where I'm coming in the office and I'm just plugging away, is that I can come into work, how you can see, with you know hoodie on like I have now, and just do my thing. I don't have to worry about it, right? Whereas in corporate, I couldn't really do that. I say all that to say, on days like today when I'm dressed like this, I might be in the elevator,
mm,
and my people may not speak, you know what I'm saying, or might give me a certain look. But on those days to where I might be more suited and booted,
mm,
more people may speak, and might give off a different persona. So I say I haven't had a situation to where someone say, "Hey, where's your manager?" and whatnot. But I can definitely tell the way I'm perceived is different depending on what I have going on that day and how I roll up to the office.
oh,
But
okay.
but it's cool. I have a gratitude journal that I write
Oh,
in every day. And one of the things that I often say, especially on a day like today when it's kind of chill and I've got a hoodie on and I'm going at it, is, man, you know what? I thank God that I do have my own business and I can roll up to work like this, uh, because I know, I wouldn't be able to otherwise.
now I understand the whole uniform service. Being in the uniform service, we
Yeah.
all have to dress the same, wear the same uniform. Just
Yeah.
like some other companies, like Target, they wear, the red shirt with the khaki pants, or maybe
Yeah.
even Steve Jobs, like
Mhm.
jeans and a black shirt. So it's very interesting, the dynamic of how people uh, basically look at you and assume and make all these assumptions.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
it's very, very interesting what you mentioned, and how you have to play the part, or have to be a little extra in, making sure that your attire is
Yeah.
worthy, a worthy cause of saying hello. It's
Mhm.
really, it, and that goes for just in general in the whole social dynamic of how what we live in today. More so, I think, for the older crowd, I say Gen X and above.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
maybe not for the millennials, but I would have to say that it does make or break the conversation, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny to kind of continue on with that. One of the things that made me more and more comfortable, because back in the day, I would never, even if it was a comfortable day or whatever, I wouldn't really wear certain things that were too casual to the office. Maybe unless it was a weekend and I'm just coming in on a weekend. nobody's here. But one of the things that made me cool with it was, for one, I watch shows like Billions and things like that, to where you see, billionaire hedge
Right.
fund managers, and they're dressed just like this.
Right.
And then I was like, well, dang, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Hey, when you have a certain track record and your work speaks for itself, you actually can wear whatever you want. So
Right.
often, even on like a video shoot or something like that, I'll rock my Jordans. I'll do, like, I feel comfortable enough at this point now with
Mhm.
what we've done, and and the fact that when we roll on set, there's like 5 people. It's not just me, and I'm more in the background, to where I don't have to always be dressed up. And it
Right.
actually, in some cases, it actually shows you can actually be dressed too well, and sometimes that can raise eyebrows on the other side. To where you can look, you're always being judged no matter what, right? But
Right.
you can look too thirsty sometimes because you're too dressed up. You know what I mean? So actually,
Gotcha.
sometimes it comes off better if you're a little more casual,
Uh-huh.
and they find out that you're still producing the same work. Sometimes that can be an even better look. So
We need we I mean cut you up, but we need to do another episode of this on
yeah,
attire and dressing up, because
for sure.
honestly, like, for instance, if a person sees you in a suit one day
Mhm.
and sees you in the hoodie the next day, they probably are looking for the man in the suit as opposed to the hoodie. Or like women, for instance, if they wear makeup one day and all of a sudden, God forbid, they go without makeup, you you turn into like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde for some folks. And I know, no pun intended. For
Right, I
me,
feel
for
you.
me, I don't, I mean, I'm very light with my makeup. I just throw on some lipstick,
Right.
maybe, or gloss, because it's expensive.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the honest truth. I
Oh,
mean, I do like it, but it's just too expensive. And, we all have our priorities in life. I think getting groceries as opposed to buying makeup is more important.
life
That's
decisions.
just that's just my opinion.
Life
Um,
decisions.
so moving on to the next question here. What would you tell the young folks that might experience the same challenges as you due to racial, social, and economical disparities? What advice would you give?
Man, so many things. So one, I guess what's most important, I guess my number one rule is to stay persistent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Never give up. A lot of people, those that make it are those that stick with it. So
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna face pitfalls, you're gonna face challenges, you're gonna face those days where you question yourself, you don't feel
Right.
like it, whatever. It's important to work through that, right? It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, it takes persistence. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one thing I would definitely say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would also say, especially when you're dealing with some of those challenges, it may not feel like it.
Right.
At the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to what you can do,
Right.
comes down to who you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to keep your network strong.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your network strong. And one of the number one ways you do that is you do good deeds for other people, right? You have to help others. So if you have that help mentality of, hey, how can I help?
Right.
If you're always
Yeah.
looking for something, you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to get anything. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you can help enough people, put enough favors out there, that will make its way back to you. So that's very, very important. I can't stress that.
Right. You know, you're reading my mind too much here. I don't know if we're like linked.
Great, great
So
mind.
the next question, it's piggyback to your statement, and the question is, what contributions has your company provided in the community?
Good question. Good question. So one of the things, so let me maybe go back a little bit. Um, I've been community oriented since high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a few things that made me that way.
Mm-hmm.
One my first job in high school was at the YMCA. Okay. So I was working with kids, we were community based. So that instilled certain things in me. Two, I think this was right after high school.
Mhm.
A good friend of the family got me into coaching,
Oh,
coach,
nice.
coaching kids. So that instilled something in me as well.
Mhm.
And then third, there was a really good friend of mine who's passed away that owned a Zaxby's.
Oh,
Michael Smith, rest in peace. And he was just as big in the community as anybody I ever knew. And I had the chance to work side by side with him for about 2 years. I was his marketing guy
right.
and saw what he did and the impact he had on the community and really took a lot from that. So I say all that to say, when we started TNT,
Mm-hmm.
from the very beginning, we sat back and said, okay, what do we want to be involved in from a
Mm-hmm.
community standpoint? And we determined that we wanted to help those that have special needs
Mm-hmm.
and we want to help bridge the tech divide. So with that, one of the couple things that we do is one, we started Tweens and Technology,
Mm-hmm.
which is a nonprofit that helps kids learn tech as early as third grade. And that's still going strong. It's going to its 6th year. And we,
What has been your proudest accomplishment since establishing your company?
dang, y'all, you stumped me with that. Oh, man. Wow, I have
Um,
to think. I could say in general, um, what we do in the community, I'm
mhm.
proud of, seeing the fact that, growing a business has allowed us to help support local classrooms, help kids learn tech, do those types of
Right. Mhm.
um, and I would say also, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit because I'm not telling you just what
Right.
they hear, but and then also being able to help those that work with us, just give them the best environment possible to kind of
Okay.
really showcase their talents. I feel like many people that work with us maybe in the past have not
Mhm.
been able to truly showcase what they've been able to do, and I feel like
Mhm.
on that platform. But yeah, but that's a great question. That's a good one. I have to think about that one. So I gave you a few answers there.
I want to take all the credit, but thanks.
Mhm.
Has networking helped you in your professional and personal goals? I know you mentioned a little bit about networking.
Yeah,
Ultimately, what would you think? Maybe one thing you can highlight that it has helped you in both perspectives.
yeah. I mean, networking is key. You have to network, and it's not just like kind of back in the day when you go to a mixer or after hours and that type of things. And
Happy
those things,
hour.
yeah, happy hour and all that. I mean, I'm not gonna say they don't work. I'm not gonna bash those in any means, but to me, networking is more one on one. It's more maybe, um, I'd say more like the best networking I've ever done has been a result of my community outreach, like being in the Rotary Club, right? Being part of Haven House Services, which is a great organization here locally in North Carolina that helps children. Being a part of those organizations and seeing someone else that helps with that organization and taking them to lunch or going to have coffee with them and building that relationship. That's the best networking that I've ever done. And the best results have always come from that. So yeah, getting involved in the community and making relationships that way versus these groups that are put together to network. That's a little more forced to me. Whereas my community outreach and being able to make positive relationships there has always been more effective.
Okay, okay. There's two more. I mean, one more question. One more question. That's it.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm ready. You ready? Okay.
I think so.
The the last and final question for you is, what is your vision for the company in the next 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, 5 to 10 years. Love that question. You're pretty good at this and that. Yeah. For the next 5 to 10 years, I want the company to continue to grow, help more people, um, personally and professionally. I would love to. So my ultimate vision is for the TNT Creative Group to grow beyond myself. It's already beyond myself, but I eventually want somebody else to be the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is not for me to always be the CEO of it. So to
Mm-hmm.
groom the next set of leaders for the company. That's one part of the vision. Another part of the vision is to grow beyond just being service based like we are now
Right.
and executing our clients' ideas, which is great. But I
Yeah.
also want to evolve into where we're creating our own unique products that are out there
Mm-hmm.
and unique content. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I see us going to where we're building a portfolio of tools that the world loves to use. So that's another part of it.
It's always a pleasure chatting with you and picking your brain.
Thank you.
And this is not our last interview, so just
No,
letting you know.
we will definitely continue. Thank you for
And
having me
they,
on, and I'm so proud of all that you have done and continue to do. So very proud of you and thank you. And we'll continue to cheer you on with all you do.
thank you so much. All right, until next time, make sure that you save some frogs for dissecting later on.
All right.
But I truly appreciate our friendship, and we can go to the next episode with talking about more about how we came about meeting and
Yep.
our interesting lives.
Sounds good.
All right. Annetta Twiggy and the No 360 reporting out, and Derrick Thompson, TNT Creative Group. Have a good day.